Hello, my dear friend. Today I'm talking about kite configuration. It's a configuration in a chart, no matter it's natal or transit or whatever. I'm doing this vlog because one of the person that comment on another vlog asked me to do this, to talk about the kite configuration. Kite is not just a geometry on a wheel. It's like an engineering design. Imagine a grand trine that is beautiful, harmonious, made of 3 planets in the same element. It's about talent, ace, and natural ability. It's the kind of aspect that makes people say, "You make it look so easy." But here is the twist. Ace doesn't always lead to evolution because that's where the kite's opposition comes in. Okay, we have a great trine, but we also have one planet at the pose of the trine's points, creating a spine or axis of tension that literally lifts the trine off the ground. Without that tension, it's just a triangle sitting there, looking pretty. But this pretty thing can fly. So think about it. The grand trine, it's your natural talent. The opposition is your challenge, your growth point, your character development arc. The sextile that is forming are the practical doors that open when you take action. Put all this together and you've got this configuration of the kite. The message of this configuration is like you have been born to do something big, but probably you need to learn it in the hard way. Not very hard, but with some provocation. One of the most common misunderstandings about the kite is thinking it guarantees success. It doesn't. It guarantees potential, like all the chart, and then hands you a cosmic obstacle course to unlock it. It's like you need to find a special key to open this potential. People with kites often have this strange duality. Part of their life feels blessed, things just work out, while another part feels like constant pressure or a restless sense of there is more I should be doing. That's because the trine energy flows easily. It's comfortable, but comfort doesn't equal fulfillment. The opposing planet acts as a wake-up call, pushing you to do something with those natural gifts. If you don't do anything with your gifts, nothing happens. In astrology, opposites represent awareness, the ability to see yourself through another perspective, situation, or person. So when a planet stands across from your grand trine, it forces your talents into visibility. Suddenly your private gifts are called into the world's arena. The kite, therefore, is not just about being gifted, it's about being put into the work. A pure grand trine without an opposition or other provocative aspect can sometimes feel like a cozy hammock, comfortable, safe, and not very motivating. You might be brilliant, but unless life poke you a little, you'll stay swinging in your comfort zone, and this is it. Enter the opposing planet, the gusts of wind that say, "All right, genius, time to get off the hammock." Put your gifts to the work. So it introduces friction. Friction creates growth. The kite's magic lies in this precise alchemy, where effortless flow meets the challenge that refines it into purpose. For example, someone with a water grand trine, let's say Moon in Cancer, Venus in Scorpio, Neptune in Pisces, may be deeply empathetic, artistic, and emotionally wise. Add an opposition from Saturn in Virgo, and suddenly they are forced to structure those emotional gifts. They might become a therapist, artist, or healer who channels emotions into tangible work rather than drowning it. That's the essence of the kite, turning talent into mastery through pressure. The kite configuration is rare. You won't find it in every chart, which makes it a kind of signature for people who have a specific mission or calling. But it's not just about fame or status, it's about alignment. The geometry itself teaches something profound. When life balances flow, trines, with resistance, opposition, you become aerodynamic. People with kites often experience moments when everything clicks, when doors open effortlessly. But those moments are usually preceded by a phase of frustration or tension. That's the opposition doing its job. The more you resist that axis of change, the more stuck the kite feels. The secret is the sextiles lines offer cooperation, opportunity, and practical ways to act on your insights. The kite doesn't just hand your magic, it gives you the tools to craft your own. Imagine someone with the fire grand trine, Sun in Aries, Jupiter in Leo, Mars in Sagittarius, opposed by Pluto in Libra. They may be bursting with confidence and drive, but until they confront the deeper relational dynamics, Pluto in Libra, they will keep hitting ceilings. Once they integrate that shadow, learning collaboration, balance, and transformation, their charisma becomes powerful, not just loud. A kite is like a dragon. It's not good, it's not bad. It's beautiful, powerful, but you need to learn how to steer it. The energy can uplift you to astonishing heights or spin you into chaos if you ignore balance. People with kites often have to learn self-discipline, humility, and awareness to handle the immense energy they carry. Without the opposition's grounding, they might float away in fantasy. Without the trine's grace, they might burn out in struggle. With both of these, they become unstoppable. From a Hellenistic perspective, this pattern acts like a sign of kairoi, moments of divine timing. It's not just about what you can do, but about when and how those potentials are activated. The planets forming the kite point to natural gifts, trine, outer challenges, opposition, and inner choices, sextiles. In Time Lord periods or K transits, like Saturn, Uranus, or Pluto hitting those points, you'll feel the kite catching wind. Life literally starts to move faster in the areas represented by those planets and houses. The trick is to stay awake. A kite configuration rewards those who consciously engage with their gifts. Think of it as a co-pilot situation. The universe hands you the steering rope, but you have to keep both hands on it. So, let's say you have a kite in your natal chart, or maybe you find in some other people's charts. Let's take it piece by piece to understand the situation. Step 1 is to find the grand trine, because at the heart of each kite lies a grand trine. This grand trine, it's part of an element: fire, earth, air, or water. If it's a fire grand trine, means creativity, initiative, enthusiasm, and the ability to inspire others. The person radiates passion like it's their natural vibe. The Earth's Grand Trine, it's about patient endurance and mastery of the material world. They are the builders that help other people to grant their life. Air Grand Trine, it's about communication, intelligence, networking, and ideas that spread like wildfire. These are your thinkers and connectors. The Water Grand Trine is about empathy, intuition, emotional genius, and creative depth. They feel everything and can turn feeling into art, music, or wisdom. Okay, so it looks beautiful. But a grand trine by itself alone can become too comfortable. Life feels easy until it isn't. That's where the kite's opposition come up and take the role. The opposition is a vertical line that cuts through one point of a grand trine, creating the spine. This planet that it's forming this opposition with the other planet that is part of the grand trine add tension, awareness, and movement. Without it, the trine stays theoretically a potential energy that never quite becomes a reality. With it, the configuration gains direction. It's like an arrow. In life, this opposition often represents your core challenge or public testing ground. Is the situation, a person, or internal battle that forces you to put your gift to work? The sextiles. Now let's look at the two sextiles aspects that connect the opposition planet to the other 2 points in the trine. They are your support lines. Sextiles represent opportunity, cooperation, and choice. They don't hand you gifts, they invite you to use them. So you need to take action. So while the trine gives you grace and the opposition gives you grief, the sextiles give you agency, the ability to apply your talents constructively. Think of sextiles as your internal agents, the energies that put you in the situation to make an action. You need to show up. They activate only through conscious actions. Every kite has a focal point, the planet that receives the opposition and both sextiles. This is the apex of the kite. The part that points toward the sky is the release point for all that energy. If you imagine the kite as a system of tension and flow, the apex planet is where everything gets expressed. It shows how and where your potential becomes visible in the world. So if you have a kite in your natal chart, see which planet or point is your focal point. For example, a sun apex kite radiates through leadership, visibility, and self-expression. A moon apex expressed through emotional intelligence, nurturing, and personal connection. A Saturn apex builds legacy, structure, and mastery through patience. A Pluto apex transforms everything it touches. The person becomes a force of evolution. The dispositor chain. Who's really in charge? Every planet in the kite has a ruler. And sometimes chose rulers link together in a dispositor chain that reveals who's the true general director of your configuration. If the ruler of your apex planet is weak or retrograde, the kite might need extra grounding. But if it's dignified and insect, you are in for a smoother flight. The beauty of this configuration lies in its balance. So when it's about rulership chain, you need to see which sign is each planet in. Who rules the sign? Where is the ruler placed? Okay? For example, if your apex planet is Venus in Gemini, Mercury rules this Venus in Gemini. If Mercury happens to be part of the trine, the energy becomes self-contained and harmonious. But if Mercury is weak, combust, or retrograde, the kite's flow might need extra conscious effort. Ruler analysis adds depth and hierarchy. It tells you where the true power and control lie within the configuration. Sometimes the apex planet seems like the star, but the ruler behind it holds the key to how smoothly or turbulently that energy works. Also, look if any part of the kite receiving squares from other planets. If the apex planet is retrograde, combust, or dignified. Are the trine planets benefics, Jupiter, Venus, or malefics, Mars and Saturn? A square to the apex can feel like extra turbulence. This configuration, like other configuration in astrology, it shows a pattern. So you need to ask yourself, where do I feel naturally in the flow? And where do I get pulled out of it? What's the one consistent lesson that keeps returning when I follow these energies? The kite pattern is often about purpose. It's what propels you from talent into contribution, from comfort into calling. Also, some other questions are important to put yourself. Where do I resist using my natural talents? Which planet in my kite feels easiest to express? What situations bring the apex planet's lessons to be suffered? How can I use this configuration to serve others, not just myself? And another thing that is important, you don't need to be famous to live out your kite energy. So remember, the kite configuration isn't a promise of a fame. It's a promise of potential that can become reality if you act in a conscious way. So, if you have a kite configuration in your natal chart, tell me how have you used it until now? Or if you didn't, what actions do you think that you need to do to put it to work for you and for others? I'm waiting your questions and comments down below. Until next time, easy flight with your kite. Bye bye.